All right, so sorry about that. So we are starting on chapter 3, and in the last chapter, we had been talking about the atmosphere and air, and now in this next section, we're going to be talking not about the air, but we're going to be talking about the radiation, the sunlight that is making its way down to Earth. Now, there used to be a TV show on, and maybe it's still on. I don't watch a whole lot of TV, but it was called The Third Rock from the Sun. And it was making reference to the planets, and it ends up, the Earth is the third planet out from the sun, and it receives just the right amount of radiation to support life. And we're going to be talking about the sort of the good and the bad about radiation. And so to start off, we can look at my little board here, and we can see that I've got some benefits on this side and some risk associated with radiation. And obviously, I guess the most important one was this second one that I have listed there, which is photosynthesis. And in the last chapter, we had talked about how the plants, the photosynthesizers, are able to take CO2 from the atmosphere and use the sunlight energy in combination with water to make organic compounds, things like sugars, and as a byproduct, as a waste product, to produce oxygen. And we all know we all need oxygen. So that one is really important. And that reference that I made, the third rock from the sun, is referring to the fact that we're the right distance from the sun, that the radiation doesn't cook, doesn't destroy the living plants and animals, but has enough energy to be used in this process of photosynthesis. Other things, it heats the earth, so we have photosynthesis, it heats the earth. Vitamin D production is dependent on your skin getting enough ultraviolet radiation. And so we'll talk about that a little bit later, about how too much is bad, too little is bad, and so forth. When we talk about risk, we can say sunlight radiation will weather or break down materials. It causes sunburn. We have skin cancers. That's that ultraviolet radiation I was talking about. And even eye damage. Your retinas can be damaged by the sun. That's why you have the iris, why your iris is there. It's to help limit the damaging sunlight making its way to the back of your eye. And as a blue-eyed person, my eyes are more sensitive to sunlight than a brown-eyed person because they get more protection by the pigments that are present there. All right, so what is sunlight? What is radiation? And it's what we call an energy wave. And on the next video that I do, I'm going to draw a waveform and talk about it in a little bit more detail. But you might have heard of the electromagnetic or energy spectrum. And when you look at energy that is being released by the sun, it ranges from, actually, I don't have it written up here, but over here I have infrared and heat, which is heat energy, but even weaker types of radiation are microwaves and radio waves. They're even weaker than infrared radiation. So on the one spectrum, on one end of the spectrum, we have very weak types of energy. Then in the middle of it, we have the visible light spectrum, and that's the spectrum that is that we can see. We can see that part of the radiation as colors, and it's what is responsible for photosynthesis. And then as we get to higher and higher energy types of radiation, we can talk about ultraviolet radiation, and then even beyond that, X-rays and gamma rays. stuff that we know is very harmful. And it's all being released by the sun and making its way to Earth.